It all comes down to resistance. Resistance is like a form. Resistance, instead of effortless being, recently I've been calling it resistanceless being, because resistance, effort, judgment, any form of it's all the same thing. It's all mental activity. Any type of that is all mental activity. Energy is like water, and energy naturally wants to flow and to enhance and progress and purify and refine. But when you adopt certain resistances, certain mental resistances or judgments or basically mental resistances to various levels of experience, what happens is that energy, that flow of water, it almost freezes in place, but it doesn't just freeze. It involutes into itself to form like a torpedo. And then what happens is it forms a pattern. And then those are the mental, emotional reaction patterns that we find ourselves in, that we keep reacting to. And then what that does is it drains our energy based on the degree to which that is happening. And it's happening on different levels. Like some people have little energy torpedo blockages in the area of money. Some people have it with relationships. Some people have it with just like their spouse or with their mother, or it could be just a resistance to cooking or doing the dishes or cleaning up. It could be anything. But everything is energy, and any form of mental resistance whatsoever is a blockage of the flow of energy. It's like becoming the particle instead of the wave. You always want to be the wave. You never want to be bound as a particle. The moment you're a particle, you're dead. Positioning is death. And so what happens is when you turn into a particle, or you create these little energy torpedoes with these mental resistances, these mental patterns, again, the energy, it starts getting drained because all that energy is going towards that torpedo. It keeps repeating the pattern. And then also what it does is it actually disrupts the flow of the surrounding energy. And like one example would be if you have blockages or repeating mental resistances to your health, and that keeps playing out, impacting your health, that peripherally ends up impacting everything. It impacts your relationships, it impacts your career, it impacts the entire flow. But the more you withdraw the resistance, the more you undo those blockages, the more the flow starts to return. And then that's when life automatically begins to start flowing and start progressing and start purifying and refining. And that's the natural flow of energy. And it happens effortlessly because resistance is effort. Blockages are effort. The flow happens effortlessly. And that's what your energy wants to do. It wants to just flow. And the more you can flow with it, the more everything will just open up for you. But you have to withdraw the resistances. And it's really, really key to see that the resistance, it's always mental activity. Resistance only exists in the mind. We're not talking about a physical kind of resistance. If someone goes to rob you, you may have to put up physical resistance, but there can be no resistance to the physical action. And then that's when you actually perform in the physical world on the highest level, because you're completely in the present moment and you're not resisting anything. Everything's just flowing through. It's just flowing through completely unrestricted. But what's also important to see is, so again, any form of resistance to the present moment is always mental activity. And the most important detail is to see that it can happen on a level subtler than words. A lot of people think that just because they're not having thoughts, that they aren't having mind activity. But that is not true. You don't have to be thinking out loud that you don't like this experience for there to be heavy resistance to the experience. Thoughts in the form of words is just the most gross or crude form of thought. And it is good to refine the mind down to where you're not really having thoughts in the form of words unless you intentionally want to. I've been in that place since 2019. I haven't had thoughts in the form of words unless I want to since 2019. But I still kept running into so many problems in my life because there was a huge amount of mental resistance happening on a level subtler than words. And then I thought that the problem was the emotions, so I kept efforting to fix the emotions because that's kind of what manifesting tells you. It says like feeling is the secret. But then it would never work because it was always a reaction to that initial subconscious resistance. And anytime you're reacting, you're not creating. And anytime you're reacting, you're actually repeating patterns and you're reinforcing the resistance. And I wasn't getting at the root of the problem. But so I kept trying to channel really high emotions to like overcome these blockages, but I was doing it from that core, from a reaction to that core resistance. And so it was just draining my energy. The patterns weren't being undone. It would temporarily work when I had the energy to channel the frequency. But then the moment my energy, it was too much effort because I was doing it from a place of effort and a place of force. I wasn't undoing the resistance. I wasn't undoing those energy torpedoes that were blocking the flow. I was actually just almost laying down more torpedo. And I was trying to create, I was going at it completely backwards. But you have to see that it begins in the mind. There is no negative emotion without the mind, because negative and positive are mind things. It takes the mind to be labeling the experience in some way for there to be any sense of duality. If you're having any sense of judgment, resistance, anything, you're having a level of quiet mental activity. It's happening on a level subtler than words. But once you see it, once you make the unconscious conscious and you notice that this is happening, you really can just withdraw it. You can just choose the other option. You can choose expansion. You don't have to engage with the resistance. It's up to you whether you resist these activities. If you have a resistance to cleaning your house or doing the dishes or doing some chore, you're going to keep finding that pattern repeating over and over again. And then life is actually going to nonstop serve you that chore. And it's going to keep going. But life giving you that, it's not really to challenge you or to hurt you. It's actually, it's fundamentally, the mechanical level, it's because you're repeating these patterns. It's because of these energetic torpedoes that are involuting on each other and repeating these patterns. But from a high perspective, it's actually grace that life gives you these challenging experiences over and over again, because it's creating the opportunity for you to transmute the resistance, to transmute the experience. And when you can then engage with the activity, the challenging activity, when you can engage with it from a place of non-resistance, that's when things change. That's when things open up. When you can just be completely neutral and have no resistance at all, that's when these stuck energy patterns that you've been stuck in sometimes for years or decades, they start to change. That's when life starts to open up. That's when like a new opportunity arises, some new creativity arises, a solution shows up, some type of windfall comes in, a new relationship comes in, some type of medical miracle falls into place. It all has to do with breaking these energetic patterns. And if you can break these energetic patterns, you can become free. And because that's your true nature is freedom. And what you authentically are happens effortlessly. Inauthenticity is resistance. You authentically already are perfect. You are the flow. You are the infinite, resistanceless, all loving, all accepting, infinite being. The only way that can ever be taken from you is if you subscribe to the resistance of not being it. If you begin to form your mental energy into these torpedoes, that's when life starts to feel bound and it starts to feel trapped and it starts to feel stagnant and it feels unnatural. It feels miserable. We hate that because it's the opposite of our true nature. We love and delight to be in the flow, and the flow is resistanceless. It's non-resistance. It's neutrality. it's peace. And many people, they want to jump straight from the resistance to bliss, but that's impossible. You have to make your home in neutrality. Neutrality, it starts out empty and it starts out dry, and it doesn't have the intensity or the sweetness that we're kind of used to from these energetic cycles, these patterns, because these trauma patterns, they give some weird level of pleasure, but it's a distorted level of pleasure. But so when we switch to neutrality, it may feel a little boring. It may feel a little dry. But the more you rest in neutrality, which is non-judgment, non-resistance, you start to undo these energetic patterns, and then the bliss of life starts to flow through. And in that neutrality, it slowly and subtly and quietly turns into the most amazing thing you could ever imagine. Life becomes a pure dance of joy. And the energy, the flow of energy, it naturally keeps becoming more open, more free, more subtle. And then all the subtle qualities of perception, of experience, they begin to emerge. And it's qualities like beauty, synchronicity, telepathy with all life forms, neutrality, love, luminosity, clarity. It's all of the best things. And that's what everyone is always wanting. And that can keep growing and growing and growing. But those are subtle qualities. And in order to experience those subtle qualities, you have to go into neutrality. You have to go into resistanceless being and allow the energy to begin to flow again. Allow it to flow and allow it to purify and rest in that fullness. And fullness is not a state of mind. It's the absence of mind. It's the absence of resistance. Fullness has nothing to do with any material possession. It has to do with the absence of a sense of lack. And the more you can rest in that and just allow life to flow again, everything will fall into place. It truly will. Because that's the nature of energy. That's your true nature, is flow, flowing, loving, infinite, divine life source. That's your true nature. And you can feel that 24/7. But you have to surrender. You have to surrender the resistance. Because inauthenticity is resistance. And what you authentically are is your true nature, is that divine flow.